Michele Bachmann is on This Week, the ABC News program with Christiane Amanpour over the weekend, and she claimed that Iran had threatened the U.S. with a nuclear attack. And as you said, there's a lot of suggestion that Iran wouldn't do that, the lack of a weapon in their hands, and their claims that, no, we're not building one, and if they went ahead and threatened someone, it would undermine that argument.
It would seem so, but let's hear her out.
Yeah, let's hear her out.
And what I would do is take everything at our disposal to make sure that Iran does not have a nuclear weapon. They've already stated that they would use a nuclear weapon to wipe Israel off the face of the map. That must never occur. Iran has also stated they would be willing to use a nuclear weapon against the United States of America.
Yeah, except for the fact that they have never said that. It's not, they haven't even remotely said that, whether it's against us or Israel, because they keep telling the world over and over, we have no intention of building a nuclear weapon. Now, you might not believe them, and I don't think I believe them overall, but they certainly have not said what Bachmann says they said.
You know, these wildly out-of-touch, deranged people running for president, so far out of the mainstream, dangerous if they ever got into a position of power, has emboldened the media to some extent. And so for that, we should be grateful, because Christiane Amanpour, when she finishes this point that they've threatened to use a weapon against the United States of America, Christiane Amanpour comes through.
Congresswoman, of course, the United States is concerned about the nuclear program. Iran denies that it has one, so it hasn't threatened to use them.
I like, actually, the use that I was going to emphasize, and I apologize, guys, I didn't realize we had it, but the Iran denies that it has one, so it hasn't threatened to use them. Like, there was a degree of lecturing in there. Mm-hmm. You know, yeah, Iran doesn't, they say they don't, so obviously they haven't threatened to use it.
Yeah, the only thing that I would say that she could have done differently, Amanpour, but then I'm not sure she'd have the show, is to say, Congresswoman Bachmann, where did you get that from?
Right.
Because I know that that is categorically not true. So I'm curious as to what you think your source is.
Right. And yes, in a great world that would be the world of, look, either you got this from some totally nut source, or you may, more likely, you've made it up because it fits an argument that you have about scaring people. Mm-hmm. So you're deliberately lying to enhance your own campaign about a very serious matter. That'd be a good question.
Yes,
yeah.
But the problem is, of course, and I'm not blaming Amanpour for it, it's just the system. Then you would have an awful lot of difficulty in getting Republican guests if they knew that you were going to call them out in forceful terms. But honestly, you'd have trouble getting Democratic guests too, because you think they don't BS people on those shows. Of course they do. And by the way, to add to all this, apparently we are moving further forces into the Persian Gulf. So war with Iran, yummy for the tummy. That might be heading in our direction.
Well, the other wars are over.
Yeah. Yeah, they're totally done.
Totally over. Yeah.
No, well, look, Iraq, we're moving the troops out, even though we didn't want to. And there wasn't the 28th Amendment, thou shalt not have any situation where you have at least less than 2 wars in the Middle East?
I think that's right, yeah.
And I like how they mix the commandments and the amendments with the thou.
No fewer than 2, no more than 5. I think that's the rule.
Okay,
yeah.
All right. So that's what we look like. By the way, just can I say a side note here? I think President Obama, I've gotten to the conclusion, on whether it's finance, foreign policy, et cetera, that he's nearly irrelevant. And now that's a strong language, but it seems that the machine is headed in the same exact direction that it was. Now, maybe he, puts the brakes on a little bit. We haven't got a war with Iran yet, but where the machine continues in that direction, it appears inexorably so, right? But it's not like President Obama, it appears, has the power, or is choosing to exercise the power, to say, hey, you know what? I'm not in favor of giving further bailouts to the banks. I'm not in favor of having at least 2 wars in the Middle East. I'm not in favor of any of those things if you looked at my campaign in 2008. It seems like he's just like, oh, golly gee willikers, what can we do? Let's just do it a couple months later.